What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
What kind of ignorant shit is that?
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
You idiot, you fool!
Hey, dummy!
This is the Ignorance is Blessed podcast.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Hey idiots, welcome back to Ignorance is Blessed, the podcast that attempts to overcome ignorance mostly by asking ignorant questions with me, Jessica Michelle Singleton, JMS if you're lazy. I'm a comedian and I'm ignorant, and that's why we're here, for me to ask all the stupid questions that we all have, or maybe just me. Some of us have that we're afraid to ask, because we don't want to look like idiots. But guess what? I have no shame. So I'm here weekly, usually, taking the idiot bullet for all of us. I need more coffee. Listen, if you're new to the podcast, please subscribe, rate, review it on iTunes. It helps other people find it, and that helps other people learn the answers to all of our ignorant questions. So thank you to everyone who's subscribed, reviewed. If you haven't, go over and do that, please. I'll just keep asking. Shout out to my best idiots forever, Gene and Kathy, over on Patreon, and my new patron, Edward August. And you can be a patron by going to patreon.com/ignoranceisblessed. All one word, no hashtag, no nothing. You get cool postcards, which I'm getting a chunk of in the mail because I fell off the wagon kind of with those. Listen, the point is you get everything. It just sometimes comes sporadically, but it arrives. Just get over there. Bonus content, at least one monthly bonus podcast, and that I always make sure to get in, sometimes under the deadline. We've got one with the awesome Steve Ranazizi is going to pop on, so that'll be the one for February, and we have more to come, and there's more there, and other cool stuff, so check that out. Help support the podcast. It helps me stay afloat and not try to sell you things that I don't actually use in bullshit advertisements. Anyway, if you want to see me live, jmscomedy.com/shows. I will be in LA for quite a while, and I paused it because Steve was telling me I need to turn the air off in the comedy condo we are both in. So anyways, if you heard anything in the background, sorry. I am really bad with audio and lazy. Anyways, let's get to our guest. Okay, so just so you guys know, this week, heavy topic, kind of. It's Amber Dawn Lee, who was in a polygamous sex cult. So, like a Mormon, I don't know, it's heavy, you guys. It's a heavy topic, and we touch on some heavy things, and sometimes we are a little bit light about them. And so I guess trigger warning for abuse, sexual, emotional, physical. In fact, it was so kind of like a lighthearted casual chat that afterwards Amber sent me a statement that she wanted me to read. So here's that before we start. From Amber Dawn. I realized upon reflection that I undervalued my own pain that the sexual abuse put on me by adult cult members caused. It affected many years, relationships exploded, and I had years of challenges, including suicide attempts. I owe JMS listeners and anyone else to know that deep layer of truth is there too. Pain is real, and so fucking real, but so is laughter. So I did have the tears before and sometimes still do. So with trauma, I protect myself by stating it as less harmful than it really was. Forgive me for the ballyhoo I've made of what really was abuse in its finest form. Today I laugh, tomorrow I cry, then repeat, and that's the glory of acceptance and trusting God and moving on by helping others. So that is her statement, and I think anyone with any type of trauma can relate to making light of it as a form of, self-preservation and, keeping it together at times. So I appreciated that statement. I think you guys all will too. It's a very fascinating story. She has led an interesting life, a little bit crazy. It's like Kimmie Schmidt times darkness. I don't know. Anyway, no further ado. Here is the wonderful Amber Dawn Lee. We'll just dive in. Hello, idiots. That's what I call my fans. It's a weird thing.
Oh, sure.
I am here. It's what I call society.
Yeah.
I'm here with Amber Donnelly. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I mean, where do we start? We met a few years ago.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. We met at a show that Samantha Hale did.
Yeah, great comedian. She'll be on the podcast soon as well.
Yeah, and she actually got me over the hill. I'm in the valley now, so now she got me over the hill.
She
I'm very
dragged you
proud
over
of
there.
her for that.
Oh my God. Once you get over here, you're like, oh, this is pretty great. Why did I resist the valley?
Why? Yeah, and also, why do I resist leaving the house? It's actually kind of fun in the real world.
Oh, I know. It's social anxiety is so fucking hard because it's just like, yeah, it's almost like mentally as if your door is so heavy you can't leave. You know what I mean?
And then what's so weird is there's nothing at all that I'm actually afraid of.
No, it's just that
Like, what's the worst thing that could happen is what?
Yeah, I get the same way too, where I don't even have a specific thing that I'm worried about. I'm just like,
They're going to see me and they're going to say, that's the girl that doesn't have a whole bunch of Instagram followers.
I know. They're like, she's not as famous as this other person. And then they won't look at me.
Yeah.
I mean, truly a nightmare in this town sometimes.
It is.
That's the one thing I do love about doing the road is you get a break from LA.
Yeah.
And then as much as I'm like, oh, I should be back in LA. You're supposed to be around or whatever. But
there's that panic feeling of I'm supposed to be back in LA because the week that I'm gone, something's going to happen
that'll
week.
be the one. It's how it feels is that it's
and
like,
there's been times when I have been out doing something, in a different city or state, and then I'll get the call. There's an audition.
I have. And I'm like, you've got to be with the amount of time that goes by with nothing when I'm in town.
Exactly.
And then I'm like,
a year is what I'm talking. Like I will go a year without a single audition or anything.
yeah.
And then the one day I leave, it's like, okay, the next morning, okay, we got to do something.
The moment you're gone, it's like someone hits you up. I've been hit up for big auditions.
Maybe we should start leaving more often.
I mean,
I
yeah.
should. Well, you leave a lot.
I know. I probably leave too much.
Abandonment.
I mean, I'm a leaver. Are you a leaver? Okay, let's just dive in a little and
Yes.
just talk about your story because I kind of, for the people who follow my Facebook group and stuff, I kind of prep them by just being like fundamentalist, Mormon, and I threw out Zion Society, and some of them were like, whoa,
Yeah.
But I want to talk about your story a little. So
Okay.
how did you end up in a religion? Well, let's just talk about
First of all, some people, they might not know that a fundamental polygamist is basically, it's a guy that is married to more than one wife.
pig.
And most of the time it's they marry very young because they don't follow the laws of the land. They follow what they feel are the laws of God.
Of God.
Yeah.
Oh, so are there men marrying like underage?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, like really underage
Yes,
girls.
yeah.
Yikes.
And then they're not legal weddings either. So just like, when you're watching one of the shows on TV now about the polygamists, it's like they're like spiritually married.
So there's no legal rights to anything.
Exactly.
So if the man dies, the women are fucked.
You can't go to court. I was spiritually married to him too. No, but I'm the legal wife. I get everything.
Yeah, there's no spiritual alimony.
Right. Right.
Fucked.
It's just like Cody Brown from the Sister Wives show. He divorced his first wife and he married another wife just so that she could get benefits for her kids. It's like, and he even did that on TV. So that's what was going on in the groups, like on a huge scale, like just huge welfare fraud.
Okay.
But I don't know why I went off into the fraud already.
Well, I mean,
let's get back to the weird, crazy stuff.
Were you born into a Mormon family?
No, I was actually born to a hippie mom.
Okay.
And she was an alcoholic, and she was friends with some people at a head shop, and she basically, traded me for a pipe at the head shop.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, not even a high-end bong, mother?
I know. I'm like, I am definitely worth a bong, but like you were saying, though, I used a bong as an umbilical cord. Her umbilical cord was my bong when I was,
Yeah, you were just getting all of her.
Getting all of it. Yeah.
Wow. So that's like a deep. I mean, we're like up top with the abandonment issues. High five.
Yes.
But man, how old were you?
I was about 6 weeks old.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a baby.
So you don't have a memory of that incident?
No, I don't. But I have that still that need, like, where is she? Why did she leave?
Of course.
And especially, it was a head shop.
Yeah.
That's
such a random. So what happened?
So she went and she robbed a bank. Crazy,
Well,
like, yeah.
You
got to do what you got to do. I mean, girls got to work.
I guess it's like, I gotta.
What else is this?
Can't have this baby ruining my bank robberies.
I know. And I was, affecting the lifestyle. So she left me at a head shop and traded me again. So she went off and robbed the bank and went to prison. And the people at the head shop, they decided, they might as well just raise me.
So she just left and they were like, well, I guess.
So, yeah, they saw
Did
her.
she leave you like, hey, can you babysit her?
Can you watch her for a while? It wasn't like a 1 day, 2 days, like just an extended stay because I've got to figure some things out.
And they were like kind people.
They're like, well, cool. I guess, a baby is good for business.
Yeah, people love babies.
Yeah,
Makes us look family friendly.
The customers can hold me as they smoke a pipe,
Yeah, that's great.
Pipe, and
you're just like part of the ambiance.
Yeah, I mean, my Pampers smelled like Nag Champa. I knew how to smoke before I could walk, but
I mean,
yeah.
Damn.
And people wonder why I'm an artist.
I mean, it would be sometimes when you hear people's lifestyles like this, you go like, it'd be really crazy if you had a corporate job and you were just falling in line with like the 9 to 5.
Oh, I do that. I used to work in the corporate world during the buffet hour at the strip club. Yeah.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to get that 9 to 5.
So the Mormon missionaries, which are mainstream Mormons, they are not like the fundamental.
These are like the
cult
elders.
people.
These are like short sleeve tie kids on bicycles who knock on your door and want to be your friend.
Who go and
Book
go
of
on
Mormon.
missions and they teach the gospel and are absolutely not gay.
Yeah, sort of like a former guest. Oh.
Yes, exactly.
I should have said that before the set.
I was listening to the podcast here about your former guest. What was his name? Seth. Yeah.
Lawrence?
Talking about the Mormon religion.
I think I have Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Okay.
Seth,
well,
yeah.
He was talking about the Mormon religion, and I was just so fascinated that how he talked. He would say the most outrageous, insane things, but then he would say words like, okay, and then golly, and gee, that's right. And oh, you betcha. And like, he would just like, he
was like so sweet.
A 14-year-old, who decided that there was going to, that these golden plates that came over on a little boat from, this was way before Columbus and everybody else. I mean, it's all confusing. Like, so Jesus, after he died, he came to America.
It's like, for what?
Yeah, and then an angel came to this 14-year-old and only had 8 witnesses that were all his closest buddies.
Yeah, it's all fishy. That's a hard thing about trying to, I don't want to call it interrogating, but that's what I do a little bit with some of my interviews. But with someone,
you should.
He's so friendly, because usually I'd be like, that sounds like bullshit.
You're like, so when you're at home at night, do you move, you open your little strap with your garments and stick your dick in through her little slit hole garments?
The garments.
You kept asking, you were like, what about the magic underwear? The magic underwear. Yeah. So I'll go back to the magic underwear, but just to finish answering your question, that's how we got into the cult. We first went into like mainstream Mormonism and found a crazy in that religion that went kind of off board, and then we left the church and went off board with
okay, so you guys started in just the
mainstream Mormons,
which I feel like, as far as any religions go, in my opinion, it's not that much crazier than all the other. There was a burning bush in the Old Testament. You know what I mean? It's like. I mean, I was eaten up by
a well, and then I was, spit out.
Yeah, no. So to me, I laugh at all of it, but it's funny to me, the idea of like a generic, Protestant Christian being like, these Mormons, and it's like, oh, but the guy on the cross who came from behind the rock is real. Like,
right, exactly.
It's all insane.
This is all, exactly perfect. And then, when you're in a fundamental cult, they come up with the weirdest things that you have to do. Like, we weren't allowed to cut our hair. Just in case like Jesus stopped by, we could wash his feet with our hair and things like that. It's like we lived in a cul-de-sac in Ogden, Utah, like, because we moved, from the head shop in Texas. I moved around a whole lot. It's kind of like a crazy, interesting thing about,
Yeah.
I kept getting new families. I guess like getting a new family runs in my family.
That's so funny. Wait, so the head shop people joined the Mormon religion?
They joined the mainstream Mormons. They met a woman named Helen. And Helen started doing like the deep-rooted Mormon study. Now, if you study the deep Mormon religion, the same one that the sweet little guy Seth, comedian, I haven't met him yet, and if you're listening to this, Seth, nice to meet you. I'm sure you're cool, but it's just crazy. It is insanity, though.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, given your experience, I could get why, like,
well, no, because
even bringing up Mormonism, you're like, okay,
Yeah,
I have a lot of thoughts.
But we were mainstream Mormons long before we were regular, got into the cult.
Super weird. So
like I was already a preteen.
Okay, so you were just like, I mean, yeah, we can't have caffeine and that sucks, but like overall, I guess everything's fine.
I have this whole thing about like we weren't allowed to drink Coca-Cola. So my dad, coming from the head shop, my new, head shop dad, so he went out and he bought near beer because he used to drink a lot of beer.
That's so funny.
Like as kids, we weren't allowed to have Coca-Cola. So we would just walk around the neighborhood drinking near beer.
Just like non-alcoholic, like that.
Non-alcoholic beer. Like
that, like knockoff Milwaukee's best or whatever.
Like, knockoff Coors Light.
Yes, that's so
Coors
funny.
Light probably would be the same thing. It's like watery,
it's
but
practically not beer. Yeah,
exactly. It's practically not beer, except for that one lonely night in Hobbs, New Mexico, when it really was a lot of beer.
You and me both, sister.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the memories and the blackouts.
I mean, the lack of memories is my biggest thing. I'm like, boy, I bet that was a fun time, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were like preteens, you said, when you, and up to that point, you had been a run-of-the-mill regular Mormon. Did you have a lot of siblings?
Well, they had the head shop family had their own siblings, and so I did have sisters and a brother, and I, and they were like, sweet cherubs, and I was always like, my halo's dirty.
Oh yeah, you're like, I'm the kid that was left on the doorstep.
Yeah, but the problem is with me and my family is we started off on one belief, and it's like, this is the way it is, and you kids can't do this and you kids can't do that because this is what the Bible, Book of Mormon says. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, wait, everything's changed now, this is the new way it is, and here's a new prophet and he's saying this, and because the new truth is this way, because the Mormons stopped practicing polygamy because they wanted to make like Utah a state and follow the laws of the land.
Yeah, they wanted to be included in the benefits
and get tax things and be a religion.
Yeah,
and they could not keep promoting polygamy and
get the tax benefits.
Right.
Whoa.
They'd already been kicked out of other states, and that's why they're all pushed to Utah in the first place. They call it like the saints and like the pioneers. They tracking across the West. It's like because they were kicked out of like Missouri.
Everyone's like, get out of here, you weirdos!
Get the fuck out of here! Stop
we
taking
already
our
have
wives.
a religion. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I know that your little 14-year-old who saw visions and pillars of light, when he was out in the forest by himself, like, so now we've got to listen to him.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pause that. So we had to pause it because there was an airplane, which...
She calls it an airplane. I called it a rumbling of God. It felt like the earth moved.
I mean, literally, when you said that, I was like... I mean, it was just so funny. But the idea that we're like, yeah, it's all bullshit. And then you just hear this thunder.
There's no such thing.
Oh, my God. We're being smited.
That's the scary thing, too, is like if you leave a cult or a religion of any kind, you're always like, wait... I hope to God they weren't right. I know they're crazy and everything they say is
you're
so
like, but what
wacky.
if that is what you're
but
supposed to do?
What if like that really is it? Because life is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And it's also like, if there is a God, who knows what kind of weird rules he has, or like what?
Yeah,
I know, because there always is that. No, I don't think anyone is ever 100% sure.
I know. Everybody has their own interpretation of like what each thing means. And the thing that I think is funny is like, okay, so some dudes wrote these books and now they're scriptures. Yeah. Like it's just a book that got published.
Yeah. And then we decided to make that like the
truth.
And that's,
yeah. So
the way.
And the why I think it's so funny is because these fundamental cults, they would make things and they would publish them and like print them out and hand them to the small little group. And it's like, okay, well, the prophet said this. Now this is the new truth.
And people go like, well, it's what the prophet said.
Did you not read what he said? Well, yes, I read it. And I didn't. That doesn't mean it's true, And
you're like, who is the prophet? Staples? Where do you keep getting these new rules?
The prophet, he did a spin wheel to see what color looked best on me for fashion. It landed on peach. That's how I knew he was not a real prophet, because peach is not my color at all.
You're like, a real prophet would have known better.
A real prophet would have put me in red.
He wouldn't have washed me out like this.
Yes, he would have let me wear a little more makeup.
I know. The prophet would want me to be hot.
Exactly.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are some of the adjustments, like rule-wise and stuff? that
Well-
like immediately happened when you made this
Well,
shift?
I got beat up right away as soon as I got into foster care because
Really?
Well,
Wait, so you weren't
yeah.
with like foster care with another family?
Yeah. Well, what happened is the cult was broken up when I was a preteen.
Oh, okay.
And the FBI came in and they raided the place, and all of the adults went to prison.
Okay.
And my headshot parents, they had already left me there in the cult.
They had just left you.
Yeah,
Like they were like,
well, the
"Oh,
prophet
this
said
is-"
the prophet said I could stay until I was 18, so I still had time.
Oh, like you could still. Oh, of course.
I mean, I hate to brag, but I was really a really pretty kid.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to go into cult stuff if you're not comfortable with.
Oh,
like,
I'm
what happened
totally
there.
comfortable. It's me like holding my cross, gangsters moves here. Like, oh, I'm protecting myself with my moves.
So your parents are like, let's join this cult, and then what? The man in charge was like, you ugly old people are good to go.
Well,
Like,
I know.
what?
My
He just
dad
kept
actually
the hot kids.
Yeah,
Like,
basically we all lived there, and then my dad started causing problems. And he didn't bring a whole lot of value to the group, but I had sisters and a mom, so he's like, okay, you guys are kicked out, but the kids can stay. And then my other sisters are like, no, we're going to go with my mom and dad, and I'm like, I'm staying.
oh, because you were like,
I wanted to stay. I was like, hell yes, I'm staying. I have friends I can hang out with.
you're like, the prophet likes me.
The prophet, I swear he was paying attention to me. I mean, I know I'm a chosen one. And I am, like worthy of the truth. I had a very important job to do there. I was like meditating with ghosts in a room and writing down messages from them. I had things to do.
I'm important here.
I'm important. I'm going to go to heaven if I stay. But I was still like,
God, that's such a vulnerable age.
yeah, but I was also still like manipulative in my own way. I was like, I'm here in this group, but I just need to like figure it out. Like, okay, so if I'm going to be in the group, I should probably be with the prophet because he's probably going to go to the highest kingdom. And it's
So
just,
you like in the mindset of all this stuff is true. How can I like network my way into being on like God's like
Yes.
good graces?
I was fucking
That's so
hustling to
funny.
get to God.
That's great.
I was hustling the prophet in the cult.
You're like,
Just
I'm
like-
gonna be the prophet one of these
Just like
days.
J-Lo was in the movie, except I'm trying to get my way to heaven. She just did a stripper movie for anyone who doesn't know. J-Lo.
Oh yeah, like literally hustlers.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I was just,
So you were just like, oh, if
hustling for the celestial kingdom.
My God. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long after your parents left and were you in foster care? Were you just sort of like among the families? Like were
I
you
was
actually
among the families.
designated to a family, or are you just?
They did put me in with like of the prophet's wife's family. So it was like there were several houses in a cul-de-sac, and I lived in a house across the street from where the prophet lived.
Okay.
But
They have multiple wives?
oh yeah, he had several wives, and I was like supposed to be a wife,
were being
when I
primed.
got older. Oh yeah, I was in charge of lingerie shows. I would like sew lingerie with the kids.
They did lingerie shows.
And we would do lingerie shows for like local strippers who would come and buy the lingerie, and we would try to talk them into joining and finding God. And it's basically a way to find broken people.
They're like, ooh, I mean, people who are lost. That's so many religions, and cults especially get people who are like down and they just need something to believe in,
But here's what's funny is I was the little girl in the cult that was doing like the dancing, looking at the stripper like, I want to be like her someday.
She's so
in the
cool.
outside world. And guess what? I was just like her someday.
Really?
I made it.
FBI came, you're like,
I
I'm
was on
going
that
to
stage.
Vegas.
I was on that toll.
How old were you when the FBI?
I was 15, almost 16, and then I went into foster care. And then there I went through 10 different foster homes.
Fuck,
and
foster
the group
care is
home.
rough.
In a group home. And in the group home is when I got beat up because I was dressed like Holly Hobby, first of all. I was dressed like Holly Hobby. I would talk to another girl's boyfriend or something. They'd be like, "That's my boyfriend." I'm like, but once we're all in heaven, we're going to be sharing anyway. Like,
and everyone's like, "What are you talking about?"
Give me, you can't have these selfish feelings. And
so, did you still have like your religious beliefs?
but yeah, because I just came out, and then
So you didn't like. It didn't occur to you that like any of that was like.
And here's the
fucked
worst
up,
thing
or
I
they were
did is
fucking with you?
I had this like beautiful foster girl that was my bunkmate, and she was above me, and she was a beautiful black woman, or girl, I guess I should say, black girl. She was like 15, and from all of my the bullshit that I was taught, I told her, I was like, I really like you. And when I go to heaven, you can be a slave in heaven in my planet.
You can be a slave in heaven on my planet.
And I thought I was the normal one. She looked at me, and was like, you fucking crazy. I'm like, no, I mean, like, I'm saying, like, I want you to come and be in heaven with me.
You're like, I'm trying to help you.
I'm trying to help you. I'm saying
I'm trying to help you by making you my slave.
Yes.
my
I would be so nice to you.
I'll make sure no one hurts
it's
you.
It's heaven. Nobody's going to beat you.
Yeah, that doesn't
They
happen
don't beat
in heaven.
slaves in heaven.
Yeah, only here on earth.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not a slave now, but you can't get into heaven without being one.
The most ridiculous thing because I'm like the most non-prejudiced person ever.
Of course,
but
it
then
was
I'm
just
just
that
sitting there
naive-
saying that, and I'm just like, and she's like, pow. Like,
She just fucking
yeah.
decks you.
She taught me how to be very non-prejudiced very quick.
You're like, you just wake up and you're like, everything I've learned is a
Ow,
lie.
I have some things to learn.
Man.
Yeah.
How? Okay, so adjusting from. Do you have a lot of like? Do you have a lot of stuff from the time you were in the cult that is like suppressed that you don't even?
Yeah.
Yeah?
For sure. Yeah.
Was there a time? Because it sounds like for a little while, at least after, you kind of still had the religious beliefs, and you're like, oh. Was there ever a time where it really like dawned on you that like, oh, that like that things
It
were
wasn't
super
real?
fucked up?
You know what's funny is it wasn't until much later, even after I had left the group and started implementing myself into the real world after foster care. After I turned 17, I ran away. I got
Did you
involved.
become like those dancers?
Yeah, I
Fuck
became
yes.
just like those slutty dancers.
And I know where to buy all the
strung
best
out,
lingerie.
strung out and everything. And and I sewed my own lingerie. I was, and hey, I already knew how to strip.
You had the skills.
I was like, I've been taught how to seduce from the time I was like, a kid.
That was like part of the.
I did it with a flip book. You know how like they teach geishas, like, here, you have to learn how to do this. I mean, I had a flip book of how to seduce, like when I'm going through like a test when I'm a kid,
Wow. So it was like just this prophet in male figures like grooming girls to be.
It was like absolute grooming of how to seduce,
how to just be a
satisfy
man's pleasure
a man.
person.
Yes.
Like how to be a hole.
Yes. Yeah. How to seduce
How to
a
be
man.
a sweet pile of holes.
Yeah. And it was like about everything that had to do with it, including like everything that they would want sexually, to the lingerie, to, the environment, to the
food,
music, to the smell, to,
I
everything.
I just went to like life. And I'm like, we're still just only talking about the seducing.
Yes.
I was like,
like
never
all
mind.
of that. And they would teach it to like the women, like as a group. And
as if that was part of the scripture type of thing.
that it was because
This is what God wants?
This is what God wants because, he's a prophet and he has a lot of things to do. And I'm like a kid, and the prophet was Arvin Shreve, and he was at that time about like 60 something years old.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like a preteen. So I'm thinking I wanted to like, I'd never even like been with guys or anything. I wanted to make out with this guy that I grew up with, Eric Lithgow.
Where are you, Eric?
Where are you, Eric? I know you're on my Facebook. Everybody's going to run to Facebook and say, who's Eric? Do not talk to Eric, please.
He didn't get well.
Yes, he's Helen's son, actually.
Oh.
So I was raised around him.
Yeah. So it's, of course you have.
But he also had a sister named, a sister. We don't need to name names. So
I can bleep that out too.
Yeah.
At the time, 23. I'm going to write it down.
I'm like,
Yeah. Oops, don't sue me. Wow. Okay. So like just lots of.
they would teach the younger teenage girls and preteens how to like sexually satisfy each other so that they could take care of each other and not feel a lack of, because there's only one man to satisfy all those women.
And it's just so hard for him.
Yes. And he's, when he looks like a
Was
fat
it just one
gardener,
guy?
he's for each, for like each group of women. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
So
he
it
was
like a
just one
father
group.
figure. What happened to like young men, like that kid that you said you had
They
a crush
call
on?
them the Lost Boys because basically once men hit a certain age, about like 12 or 13, when they started getting around that age, they kind of just like kick them out of the group, and they're just like out on the freeways and out in the world, and
You're like, good luck out there.
Yeah, and if they come back later as adults, righteous and pure, whatever, like ready to commit to the group, they can then and take a couple of wives, but as long as they're like competition to the very young women. then that's not going to fly.
Then that's not. Oh yeah, because the fat old guys need.
Yeah.
Was there like a pecking order with the men? Like, did I assume the prophet?
Well, the
had,
prophet's
like,
at the
first
top.
dibs?
Yeah. Well, why else would I want to be with a prophet?
You're like, yeah, I'm just trying to get the best spot in heaven.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I wanted to be in the VIP in heaven.
Wow, so they're like really psychologically getting in your head and like
they were
making you think that like this is the like fucking making a young girl be like, this is what I want to do so I can get into heaven. That is, whoo, buddy.
Yeah, and what's funny is like we couldn't even have our own heaven. It's like, oh, we're gonna get to be able to
share heaven.
In his heaven, doing his rules, which we're creating a heaven on earth, and so I'm in heaven already. Apparently, it's just going to be just like this, and this sucks. So I was like,
that sounds like hell.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But everything on the outside was very superficially a facade of beauty. Like because he was a landscaper, our lawns and everything. I mean, it was beautiful. It was immaculate. It was like Stepford Wives.
So every day, this whole neighborhood, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was like a neighborhood,
and everything was.
Everybody was dressed to like perfection. Every morning, it was part of like my list of to dos. That I had to do was to get up, like to fix my hair, to fix like makeup, or to do with and put on the outfit with it, which was a dress every day.
Yeah,
and just look. Curled hair, the little.
You were ready for Pretty Funny Women shows.
Yes, I was already dressed and ready for my stand-up.
Oh, so it was like just a whole routine every day,
every morning, and then okay, today I have to help like these girls, Dawn and Jody. I have to curl those two girls' hair. Okay, there they are. Okay, what style do you want? Pick a style, and just
every day. And
every
then,
day.
So did you guys go to school?
No,
it was you were cut off.
My parents, the head shop parents, before I even got to the cult, took me out of school in the 3rd grade.
Really?
Because they didn't want me to be influenced by like evil teachers,
Oh, like people
and children, children.
Yeah.
Those other kids
people
in
who
3rd
will tell
grade.
you other opinions and they don't want you to hear them.
Like that people go to the moon. They say things like that in school.
That's crazy.
I know. I know.
They're like, I mean, what if they start talking
and
about
that
evolution?
women should have an education and learn, and that I probably should learn mathematics and science.
Wow.
Isn't it crazy that people don't believe in science? Oh, wait, that's how it is today.
Yeah.
Huh.
Where it's like, wow, there's still people.
I have a 3rd grade education and I can believe in climate change. Hello, people.
What a soundbite. I mean, the people who are still denying climate change, it's like, do you not have eyes? Like, what do you don't think something's going on?
And that's where I can understand, like, in being indoctrinated into a belief system, because I hear people say the same things on Facebook, like they will repeat answers that somebody else has already said.
Yeah, they're just regurgitating information.
Well, but what about Obama this, Obama? We're talking about here today now and kangaroos. Let's start.
Yeah.
Like
you're like, what are you bringing
nothing
up?
else matters.
Right?
Okay.
Like the past.
Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you when it got rated?
17. No, 16.
16. So you were already, I was going to say almost out, but I guess you probably weren't going to go anywhere if it hadn't been.
No, I
rated.
would not have
like
gone
send
anywhere.
you-
No, we don't go off to college or anything. We couldn't even go to like the fabric store without having like 2 or 3 people at a time. And me, I was like deemed a rebellious soul. So
They're like,
yeah,
she's a runner.
So we got a runner.
Yeah. Were there people who were like super devout in it and just?
Well, yes, and everybody. If they weren't devout, you wouldn't know about it because everybody would like want to tell on the person to try to help them.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to say that they're not devoted, because I remember telling Laura, I guess there's her name. It doesn't matter.
No last names.
No last name. Yeah, I told her like some curse words, something, and she like stabbed me with like a little pencil. And we were kids. It's like because she wanted to do what's right,
She stabbed you because you said a bad word.
Yeah. Because I cursed.
Oh, the logic.
I know. So she said, it was like, ugh, whatevs.
How
We're still
is
friends
that?
today, though.
I mean, you have to be. You're like trauma bonded.
It is. That's
right?
exactly what it is. It's total trauma bonding, and it's so strange. It's so
like
weird.
boot camp for children in a terribly different way.
Yeah, it is. It's like I went to band camp and never came back.
Yeah. Jesus.
People, you said they were asking mostly about like the transition. What do you do?
Like,
what do you do when you leave a cult? That's the challenge.
What is the challenge? Like, how do you adjust?
Okay, so for me, I went into stripping into dancing.
Where did you go? Like where? Like you said,
I
were you
went
still
into
in
foster
Ogden?
care. I went to foster care in New Mexico because that was
Okay.
the last location of the head shop parents.
Ah,
And they didn't know where they had gone. But that was
Okay.
the last location that had any paper trail on them. But they were like off the grid hippies, so they were
Just-
long gone. They were in they were in
Shit.
Portland, Oregon at the time. So
Wow.
they just left me in this state program. So it was basically like, you know, the states were my parents. I had New Mexico was my mom, and Utah was my dad.
Fun.
And yeah, and mom got most of the custody of me, but then I still would get a little few benefits from, you know, the state of Utah. So
Fuck.
yeah, so I just went directly hardcore into drugs and stripping and just went, you know,
So nobody
in
tried
a
to like
spiral.
put you into like some type of therapy or
well, they did, but I didn't.
But you were
I
like,
mean,
oh, fuck.
I'm trying to explain to the therapist that she doesn't understand her way to heaven. It was just like too much.
yeah,
at
because
that
you
time.
were so
Yeah.
indoctrinated into this.
And you know, I actually think that being like thrown into what could have been the worst place, which is a strip club, was the best thing for me because that will straighten you up into what's the real world. You know,
I mean,
quick. It's
you-
the underworld of society, but it's the real world.
But you're gonna meet people who will tell you like it is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
fucking don't fuck
And you
around.
learn quick, and you learn. Because these women that would sit in the dressing rooms would get so connected that, and it's like trauma bonding, like again, but they're all
Yeah,
it's
they're
like
your
dancer bonding.
sisters. Yeah.
You have and it's the same thing all over again. You have a whole bunch of sisters, and you have like a mom there that's going to take care of you. You know, the house
Wow.
mom. So you have a family dynamic once again. And it's the same dynamic I had my whole life. So I get to go out and I get to perform and look really pretty and beautiful.
And you'd already been set up for that because
Yeah.
of this cult
yeah.
or
It's like I was
society.
made to do it. The biggest problem is then you start getting older, and for living in LA and
Yeah.
living in the entertainment industry as I have been for 15 years. It's like it's a real challenge, and that's the biggest thing. Is when you're in a certain group, they will put your value on one thing or another, and once that one thing or another goes away,
They're like,
then
you're not. And if
Yeah.
if that's also what you've been taught to value,
then it
then
makes it
you
a lot
haven't
harder.
explored all these other things that are probably amazing about you.
Yeah.
But if you're told your whole life and so many women, it's gotten better overall, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for modern society, but like are still told like, well, what you look like is all that matters.
Yeah, it is.
And obviously it was like a higher
For
degree
sure.
for you going
Yeah.
from, that situation.
And in that situation, it was taught too, just about, keeping everything on the outside looking really good because you don't want them to see what's going on the inside.
Yeah.
The problem was, as I got out into the real world and I just like cracked and fell apart all over the stage,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then I did, all of the drugs and the overdoses and the suicide, attempts and suicidal ideation and, mental health care, like I was talking about with
course.
that. And then, acting. And then, I made my own film, and then, I wrote the musical and started doing that. And now I got a late start to comedy because I've been told my whole life just to shut up and just be seen and
sit
not
still, be
heard.
pretty, yeah.
You just please, be reverent, sit still, be quiet. And the polygamy part of my life, it wasn't something I really wanted to like out there. And then I was like,
because it's like a weird, also,
it's weird. I don't want to be the polygamous girl.
well, that's the hard thing about comedy too, is that people, if you focus on something specific in your life, people want to boil you down to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through that all the time of like, I don't want to be the depression girl, or like, I don't want to be the girl that
Yeah.
was left in a Waffle House. Or
Right,
like
that's not me. It's
the
like,
anal girl. Like,
yeah.
because obviously there's so much to every person, but people hear a thing and they're like,
That's her thing.
that's-
Yeah.
and I literally did it by having you on this podcast to talk about it.
Yeah.
But
And it's the reason that I've got on other podcasts too. And it's not just because, it's not because of the comedy that I've done, the podcasts that I have. It's like the comedy shows, people aren't calling me to go on the news, but they are asking me to go and talk about things for the cult. So what I wanted to do is find a way to talk about what's really going on the inside of these groups in a way where people can hear it, because it's so traumatizing that people can't hear it. And they all want to know, like, were you raped? And so the answer is yes, I was raped by the prophet. And was I traumatized over.
Did you hear
it.
that? The number one guy. I'm
Yeah,
just
the
kidding.
top.
I'm very sorry.
The guy
the
that's
top.
going to the celestial kingdom. I could not get any more. Anybody?
Well, at that age, it's like.
Well, he did tell me, to be fair, that in heaven he's going to have a cape and a sword. And he's going to look, and he's going to look just like Brad Pitt, and like at Comic-Con.
I'm going to be hot in heaven
and have a 6-pack and be young. And so I would try
what
to
a
imagine,
blessing
like,
for you.
yes, it's a test on Earth.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
I'd be like thinking to myself, like, I'm like Beauty and the Beast.
But I mean, what a.
But the trauma about that did not happen to me in the way that a lot of people think it did. My trauma started long before the cult. It started with my parents and their abuse. It started with being abandoned at a head shop. And it was the process of like one little thing after another little thing after another little thing. And all of those things, have pushed me over the edge to the point of where I did go and seek therapy on my own and later as an adult. Yeah. And I've been in therapy for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still fucking crazy.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. But I have good, happy days, you know, and I have a really good life, you know. People, they ask what I do for a living now. And I mean, I tell them the truth is that I do my husband.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I think like the longer, if anyone with trauma is working on it, I think sometimes the best you can hope for is that the good feelings last a little bit longer and longer as you, like, the crazy comes, but it's a little bit shorter each time.
And with the comedy, that people that hear something, they'll think to themselves like, I've been through that and I've been through that, and even worse, that if they can do it, I can do it. I've heard Tiffany Haddish's comedy, and putting her comedy aside, her story about, living in foster care and, coming out of that and being homeless on the street. I'm like, okay, I can relate to that. And, I lived in foster care. Well, if she could, talk about it up there, then I can talk about what happened with me. And then it makes just one more person feel a little bit better about themselves.
Well,
because,
absolutely, because
if they can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, and then so if someone sees you who's gone through something similar, they go like, well, she's doing okay.
Or if somebody thinks like, there's been so many women and men that have been victims of sexual abuse, rape, molestation, from siblings to uncles to neighbors to babysitters.
You name it.
The truth is, everybody's got their story. That's not saying everybody's been hurt
molested,
that way.
but it's like everybody has their individual
But everybody's
trauma.
had like that side eye look or that uncomfortable feeling that they know that something could go wrong somewhere, and they're safe.
Yeah.
Because it's so abundant. And the problem is that there's so much shame, even for me, in putting it on myself. I'm like, I don't want to be the cult girl, and everybody's going to want to know, well, did you have
You're like,
sex?
I don't want to.
I'm like, yes, we did. It didn't traumatize me. The truth of it is that he smelled like grass from like the yard. He was too tan and smelled like, polo. All I could think about was the curtains, and I was actually fine and done, and that was not the most traumatic thing that had ever happened to me. I think emotional trauma is that he did to me, the prophet and the people around the prophet, was so much bigger than the sexual abuse that happened from him and from the women in the group who were teaching me. Yeah. So I blame them just as much too. And I don't.
Did they go to prison as well?
They did.
Good.
And her name's Sharon Kapp. You can look her up. She's in Utah, and she did go to prison, and she was responsible for teaching all of the young women how to to do the sexual way of life. And it was because of her that I did end up, being raped by the prophet, because she let me know I was ready and tried to, and set it and put it on my schedule. So it's her fault that happened. Sharon Kapp is her name. And
rot in hell, Sharon.
Yeah. And I hope that life has taught her something different and better. Yeah. The thing is that I don't understand is how people can get hurt like that, and then how they can repeat it on other people. Yeah. Because that didn't happen to me. I have that empathy and that compassion where it's like, ow, I don't want to hurt anybody.
Well, my only thought is, which is really sad, is just like the idea that someone genuinely thought, Like she was so brainwashed.
Yeah.
I guess that's my way of trying to have empathy towards someone like that. Is
You
that
have
she
to.
genuinely really thought that's what she needed to do and that she was helping you, which is
Yeah.
fucked up.
It is. But when people are brainwashed, they truly are.
They're brainwashed.
It's not like, oh, I just think that I kind of have the opinion that I think it's like this, but I'm thinking clearly. It's like, no, they're completely in. And when you have a fear of something that you can't see or feel, which is heaven or hell,
Yeah.
or angels or spirits
When
or
you
devils or
genuinely
God.
fear that wrath.
Yeah.
I even talk about that like now with actually on the episode I released with recently with this guy Mike Eshak, just the fact that people can't have empathy toward like really super conservative Christian types that I'm like and granted there's so many things that I'm like, come the fuck on. But trying to remember that like this like pro-life shit.
Yeah.
I'm pro-choice.
Right.
But I'm like, these pro-life people really are afraid of God.
They
Like,
really
and they're
are.
like, if you murder them, we're all gonna get the wrath. And
Well,
like,
people wouldn't be flying airplanes into buildings if they didn't have complete and 100% faith that what they've been taught by somebody that they trusted
Yeah.
was telling them the truth.
yeah, and even if that's wrong, it's like they truly believe.
Yeah. And I see that behavior today on Facebook. Like I have a friend and she was on my Facebook and today I was looking at her thing and she was going on and on about it doesn't even matter which race it was because I'm not going to put a highlight on that, but it was a different race and people that are and putting them in as a group. And I was like, it's not could you start looking at individuals here?
Yeah.
Individuals that are suffering in this moment and they're happening. And what you are is a very strong Christian woman putting all your beliefs all over Facebook and Jesus posts. And I appreciate that, but you have so much faith. Can't you understand why they have so much faith?
Yeah.
You're sitting there saying how dangerous they are and how they deserve that they would come over and kill us. Yet if I was them, I'd be scared to come over to America and be anywhere near you.
Yeah, it's like they probably.
It's so scary.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, the U.S. has been dropping bombs over there for how many, like, decades?
Yeah.
And it's like they're terrified too. You know what I mean? And
it's scary. We are not a sane, simple, easy nation like I thought we were.
I mean, we're all in a way. Even if you go to just regular public school, I mean, we're brainwashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like America's the greatest, and just like that we pledge allegiance to a flag.
I didn't even think about all of that stuff until like much later because I didn't go to school, so I wasn't playing it. But how even in the court system, there's like in God we trust above like everything. It's like, wait, so if you don't believe in any of that and you're putting your hand on a Bible and it's like it's a system that all of America is like under. It's kind of like we're under like this whole Christian. We have to be a Christian religion.
Yeah, it was founded on like religious freedom, but then it's like one nation under God, and it's like, wait.
And I appreciate religions that are set up in ways trying to really truly help other people and not just be about themselves. There's some.
I mean, the core values of most major religions are good. I mean, like when you separate all the rules and the weird bullshit and the don't do this, but just like love one another.
Yeah.
Treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Love your enemy. But then there's so much fucking extra shit people pile on.
There's always the pile of everything. Yeah, for sure.
When the cult was first broken up, was that like upsetting to you? Because like you were,
I was a little scared, but I also thought
into it.
Well, I thought that the prophet was for sure going to be able to break out. You know, I mean, obviously.
I mean, because underneath
the world was
there
going to end.
Is a man with 6-pack.
Yeah. He just needed to let
God
them
will
know.
free him.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I was already out in foster care and had no way to be around any of it. I was like
You're just
closely
gone.
guarded by social workers and everybody that there was zero contact for me.
So
I
they
was
scooped everyone who
I was
out, and they're like, get them.
well, and especially for me because I was a child of the state. So at that point,
You had already been a foster care kid anyway.
yeah,
So they're
because
like,
nobody knew where my
"Whoops."
real parents are, and then they find this. They're like breaking down this place, and then wait, your parents are who? And wait, you come from where? And you're
And they're like, we put her here?
wait a minute, yeah. Get this kid back to New Mexico and let's figure out who she is. Or you have social. You didn't go to school. Oh,
Ever? Like,
you okay? So you didn't go to a doctor. You didn't go to schools. Do you have a birth certificate? What's your name? No, your real name. Like
yeah. And you're like,
how old are you? I'm like, I mean, everything was. I don't know. And
wow. Was there anything when you were kind of flung back into society that was like really shocking to you, or like stuff you had really a lot of trouble with adjusting with?
I have had a real problem just adjusting with just the basic school. I had a really hard time in school.
Yeah.
I did not know what the fuck was up on that board. I was like, wait, what is going on?
Did they like put you immediately into whatever?
Yeah, I was put into
grade?
put into junior high school. So I was a junior in high school.
Oh my God. And you had no.
And I had to show up like in the green foster care bus and with the side state sticker on it and get out of the bus and with all the, other kids that were, like rejects and all.
You're like just all the kids.
Hi, it's just us. And
that poor bus.
I know. And I had like such a crush on this guy and I was just like, like.
And so it was just like all like, I have no
and I would
fucking
go
clue
and
what's
try to
going
talk
on.
to him. Like, do you think that maybe we could like, study together? And he's like, you wouldn't get it anyway. Ha ha ha. Skate off. Like I'm just
Dude,
like so
years
out.
later, he was like, oh, she would have hooked up with me.
Oh God.
Like
now they're like, hey.
the regret he has. They're like so many men that it's like, she was flirting with me in
Yeah.
high school. You're like,
Yeah, if
fucking idiot.
If you make it at all in anything, like when I did my movie, it was so funny the people that came out of the woodwork of like, I used to date her. It's like, no, you took me to Allsup's and bought me a burrito once when we were in high school.
It's a real liberal term.
Yeah, just because I gave you a blowjob does not mean that we
that
were
has
dating.
nothing to do with you. Those were old values that I had carried over.
Yes.
Did you? On that note, like, did you continue to be like pretty like sexually promiscuous? Do you think that
I was
fed into that?
I
Probably
well,
because that's what you were taught in your head.
I actually went back into like I'm a virgin mode, but I was then it kind of less quickly escalated from like within 1 year I went from being
I'm starting over.
Yeah, going into school into running away, not knowing what to do, starting stripping.
Yeah.
So I started doing cocaine, which I thought I had found my bliss. I had watched that movie Less Than Zero, and I felt my destiny was like just going to be just like that. And
oh God, you're like this is it.
This is it. This is my
how it
life.
happens.
It's so dramatic. I'm going to die in the back of a limousine, and that's rented for $150 a night. And I'm
like,
going to be
this
so
is
glamorous, and everyone's going to care because nobody knows me.
Oh gosh.
It's lonely. It was really lonely. And I
Yeah.
lived in a big fantasy land. Like someday I'm going to be famous and live in LA and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And, it took a long time for me to actually stop and say, okay, what do I really want?
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what am I capable of doing? And I learned, along the way that I'm capable of sharing my story without having, I'm capable of sharing it basically.
Yeah,
And a lot of people
not
can't
everybody
say that,
Yeah, no. When I think that's an important skill that like you either were able to process it as it happened or have healed from it enough that you're able to share that story, which helps people. And a lot of people who have similar stories, you're the people they're helping because they can't share their story.
And that's why I want to do this, do this comedy special that I'm working on. It's a cult comedy special. It's
Cult classic.
Yeah, a cult classic. A cult following is what I'm hoping for. To try to like show that it doesn't matter what the trauma is, like that we can laugh at any of it.
You can get through it. You can laugh at it. You can find funny in the
that you can find the
worst
funny
things.
in it and connect that way, because I connected really easily, with others once I got out of the group and stumbled in through the foster care system with not making friends. I instantly, from there, I was like, I don't want this. And I've learned how to be popular just by watching and studying.
Yeah.
Because I'd been watching and studying and being quiet in the group
whole time.
for years. Like that's what we did. So I would go to the high school. So who's the top of the pecking order? And I met this girl.
You're like, I was groomed to learn how to get people to like me. That's the one.
Yes.
Would you say that that's almost like in a weird silver lining way, like a gift you got out of that? In
Absolutely.
A way to like get along with people?
For sure. And I think that it's actually a gift that's carried over into so many other things in my life in a good way. For example, my marriage today. I'm so happily married. And
how long?
Almost 10 years.
Oh
yeah.
my God, that's amazing.
And he's even happily married. Like, imagine that.
Hello.
Like both of us. Yeah. But he's, knowing where I came from, he's kind of like, designed things in ways where my life is just so opposite of how it ever could have been or was supposed to be.
He
that
like takes that into account really heavily.
Yeah. It's those little things. I don't do dishes. I don't think about it. I just put the dish in the sink and they're done, and by 4:00, the second he walks in the door, he does them.
Wow.
And when I say walk in the door, because he goes to work.
Yeah.
And he knows that certain things that are really small that can become very big for me.
Triggers for you and stuff?
Yeah. I can get scared of little things like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go up on stage, at the Comedy Store in this little small room. But, I will go to Las Vegas and I'll stand in a room half naked, wasted and, with an 8-ball in my G-string and, spray tan in front of like thousands in Vegas.
But share my story.
Yeah. I mean, because I was a showgirl in Vegas and I would do huge shows. I was on 45 billboards for, as a dancer.
Honestly, the smaller the group, the scarier it is, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, even with comedy.
Yeah. So
because it's like if 3 people don't like me, that's half this room.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And if 3 people don't like you, then it's like that whole vibe is down. It's like you're having a conversation with the room. It's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, but if 3 people like hate my comedy in a room of 1,000, well, I just lost those 3 people a big fucking
right.
Lot.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you find you have like triggers you're unaware of? Do you ever get like emotionally overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know what
my
it
husband
is?
will come up to me and he'll say, and I do get annoyed at this because he's like, I just want you to know that you're a little bit in your PTSD right now, sweetheart. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. No, I'm not.
Nobody wants to hear that when they're in it either.
I'm like, I am not. Give me chocolate now.
I'm not. And you break something.
Put the knife down.
Yeah, well, have you had to with him? And I'm a little bit asking this selfishly, like for my own personal.
He has seen more crazy than I would like to admit that he has seen.
When you guys got together and just in general, is he from like a pretty stable?
Oh, so stable. As a matter of fact, the first time I went to his house to meet his parents, I walked in and it was a big, beautiful, like mansion home at the top of Encino Hills. Michael Jackson was a neighbor kid that they played with, and I walked in and I looked around and
they weren't the neighbor kids he played
there's
with.
pillars and stairs and a pool back there, and and his mom and dad walk out and his mom's wearing makeup and she's beautiful and his dad's like a businessman lawyer, and I'm like, you grew up here? Like,
this is your life?
For real? And I just looked around, and then a maid walked by with their laundry and I just started crying.
Oh my God.
Because I was like, I thought that people only lived like this in the movies. Like, I did not know that people could actually have a functioning
that you could just be
life.
A casual human and this is how you grew up.
And what's worse is this is 10 years later, married to him, and his family is still functioning normally.
And probably
the only craziness is me. And yes, he's very stable and he's very
Were you in your head about that at first?
Oh, I thought he was the most boring person ever, and I didn't want to I was like, I need something bigger and crazier.
Yeah. Did you ever get? I'm literally just drilling you about my own insecurities, but did you ever feel a little insecure that he was so stable that you? Because I get with my boyfriend, I feel like I'm gonna be. You're gonna get sick of this.
You're gonna I thought they will definitely get sick of it. So I've got to hang on to my pretty as long as I can. Is what I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a scary thought. I've got to hand it to my pretty, and then if I run out of the pretty, then I better hurry up and have the success.
Yeah, it's like if I'm not giving you the thing that you wanted me originally for, you're gonna not want me.
Yeah, because the truth of the matter is we're not like these, dream girls in real life. I don't want to have sex every day.
I mean, no one
or
is.
most days, it's like life is just crazy.
Especially trying to do anything creative, it's exhausting. You're like,
I know. And it's not like this glamorous, beautiful thing either. It's like being married 10 years. It's like, I have an ingrown hair here. Grab it, tweezers and bending over. It's on my butt. You just really get to see who the person is. But
yeah,
the glamour is definitely gone. Except lately he's been losing weight and went and got out a new sports car and he's looking really good. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's just the midlife crisis. They all go through it. You're like, have fun, honey.
Have fun. You'll be back. They always come back.
They all come back.
But it is.
Right, Dad, where are you?
Yeah.
Did you, with your PTSD, did you have to educate him a little on how to help you deal with that? Or
my therapist did. I took him to therapy with me.
You
have to do that because if I'm telling him something, it's just a crazy person telling him something. As far as he's concerned, he knows better because he was raised differently.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with him being right or wrong. It's like he just doesn't understand. And if I really want somebody to understand who I am, they need to know like certain things are going to really trigger me. And if someone touches my neck,
Oh, yeah.
for example, if you touch my neck in any way, like for a massage or anything, I will I like, and I back up because I just like, I try to catch my breath. I can't catch my breath. And it's like, that's a trigger.
Yeah.
Or certain songs and
scents, probably, I imagine.
scents.
Yeah. Oh, because I just, with my boyfriend, he's seen me have some meltdowns and he's like, I don't know. I want to help you.
And
but
they
I
can't.
don't know. What can I do? And yeah, you just have to be like, nothing.
And then when they do help you, it's the wrong way anyway. So
Oh, yeah. Because you're just.
And my husband, he does help me, which is even more annoying. Like, I'm not going to fight with you. You're having a PTSD moment, and I understand it. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't know it. You know, and then I go even crazier because I'm like, how can you be so sane? It is so annoying.
Yeah, no, well, it is.
How do people get that way?
It is shocking to me that because, like, if you're someone who has PTSD and you have these, like, random triggers, or you suddenly just get even just the emotional overwhelm.
You need somebody else to be able to see them when you can't. That's
that's
true. Like, and that's why for me, I started going to therapy, and I took him to therapy with me because I wanted her to tell him that I'm crazy, but not in a bad way of a look. This is what's really going on with Amber psychologically because she was abandoned at this age, and because she has no, you know, for me, like I would have like different values. I mean, I wasn't committed to like, a monogamous marriage wasn't my ideal. I was like,
that's not what you were looking
what are you
for.
talking about? One person?
Like,
no.
Who does that?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm literally from a polygamist.
You do. Have you met my parents? All of them, right?
Like just the whole group.
Yeah.
Has he?
He has. He met my mom.
Did you reconnect with your mom?
I did. All of them. Yeah.
Oh, all the women.
My real mom, the bank robber. Yes.
Yes. She got out.
She did get out. She was only in there for about 8 years.
Okay.
And then they let her out, and she says that she came to look for me. I don't think that she did.
That's tough because it's like, well,
you want to believe things.
That's an easy out too, because it's like, because how could she have found you? But also,
I know, because I was like living in a different
off
state
the
and
grid,
everything,
not
but
going to school. But it's also like, why now would you?
Well, yeah, but I still found her instead of her finding me. So you know,
you're like, it seems like you looked really hard. Parents are hard.
I know. It's hard to be a parent. I know that. I mean, I'm a parent.
Well, I mean,
I have a daughter too, and today's her birthday, and it's
happy
parenting's
birthday.
not easy.
No, but did becoming a parent, was that scary for you because you felt like you didn't have the right tools?
I was not scared enough. That's the problem.
Because wow.
I was not scared enough, and
you're like, it'll be great.
Yeah, and I had been taught that if I had an abortion, I would go to hell.
So you're like, I guess I'm becoming a parent.
Well, great. I guess I'm going to be a mom now, but I wanted to like connect with my own blood too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like have my own family and somebody that looks like me. And, like I had blonde sisters, and I had not met my biological brother, which I have a biological brother from my real mom that I'd met later on.
Yeah.
And I had never seen my own blood before. And so I wanted to connect, kind of like Clan of the Cave Bear. I want my people.
I think everyone has a little bit of that desire to go, like, if nothing else, I just want to look at someone and be like, okay, that's where I came from.
I mean, it was so hard being so gorgeous among these people, and then
you're like, I'm obviously not related to any of you.
I'm obviously evolved and belong somewhere else.
You're all inbred.
Yes, of course, you're all inbred. All of
I'm
you. All of
ascended.
you. And the thing too, though, is that I want to make clear is there are people in this group and that have been involved in the group and that are out of the group, and like including my mother and my parents, that even though they were kicked out of the group, that I love these people.
I was going to ask, do you have like resentments, or do you
I do have resentments, but I also love them. And the hardest part is loving them and seeing them as just being just really truly broken people, because it makes me angry that broken people react and act out in the ways that they do
and hurt other people. Yeah, hurt people is a stupid sentence, but it
is. And I've caught myself, how I reacted is I used to just treat men really badly.
Oh, like fuck you.
Oh, I was the one that was like, the men would come and I would be like, whatever.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
Yeah, I would play
fucked.
like the dude. I was like the guy, and I would string him along and lie to him and use him and manipulate. I mean, come on, I learned how to do it from in the cult, trying to get with the prophet when I was still a kid. I mean,
You're like, I've been
ambitious from a very young
I have a lot
age.
of experience.
Yes.
Is there anything that you noticed later in life that you had like taken with you, like values or something that later you're like, oh, that's not.
Yeah.
That you took from the cult that you later were like, oh,
like that the men are
isn't-
supposed to take care of the women.
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge one.
That's just a big American
Yeah,
thing too.
and it's like that the men are the masculine. They're supposed to take care of women. Women are supposed to be like the homemakers and, soft and pretty and feminine and sweet. And which is even so funny too, because like there's times when I'm like running around or doing mics and stuff, and you know how it is. You put on a baseball cap and some sweats and you run and you go.
Just fucking go. Yeah.
And we all look like lesbians.
Yes.
And
So
but
everyone
I'll
has a
sometimes-
joke about
yeah.
it.
So I'll stop and I'll like look in the mirror and I'm like, I look so masculine. And that's a trigger because it's like, oh, I better hurry and put something feminine on. Like
I can't be like this.
I need to look very like a girl, like a woman. And it's like, that's an old trigger. I don't want to look like that. I want to wear something
You're like, I want to be
pretty
comfortable.
and lacy. I want to wear like a baseball cap and some sweats and tennis shoes and go and do my mic, see if it works, and then go home.
Yeah.
That's
so interesting.
Yeah. And so other little things like, looking a certain way when you leave the house, it took me a really long time to let go of appearance. And when I say let go, I'm saying it very loosely. I'm
you're like, I'm
struggling.
still-
I'm hanging on and struggling,
Well,
like
LA's the hardest place to let go of because you can go like, I don't even care. And then you look in the mirror and you're like, what's that?
yeah. Or
When you're like, everyone is getting Botox except me?
or you can like not even care. I'll like hibernate and stay home and work really hard on a project online, and I'll talk to my friends on the phone and stuff. And I think I'm social, I'm not. And then I'll go back out and I'll be like, everybody fucking looks so good. Like, what am I doing?
I thought we were
gained a little bit
relaxing.
of weight, and we're all the same age here, right, guys? Like, what's going on?
What's happening? Why
does everybody look so fresh?
Yeah, well, in LA, it's just heightened. I always say that if I lived anywhere else, I'd probably be 20 pounds heavier and not even think about it.
Oh, and it'd be so great.
Yeah,
like,
just be happy.
I would have gray hair for sure. Long gray hair.
Just long, hippie
Just-
gray.
Yeah, just hippie long gray hair and just be barefoot and just long skirts.
I would love. The only thing that keeps me from regularly being barefoot is that I don't want someone to think it's my brand. Like, I love not wearing shoes.
I'm barefoot all the time though, but because of my pool.
Yeah, I mean, I would just.
I think barefoot is a good brand though, because there's been no other comics in a while that have done that. There was comics back in, who did that before?
I don't know. I feel like somebody has maybe.
But who's the dude that has his shirt off and everything?
Oh, Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's going back to like, you don't want to be the polygamous girl. I don't want to be the barefoot lady. But then maybe
and
you'll
you
get
don't want to
sponsored
be,
by
but you don't want to
Barefoot
be the
Wine.
Waffle House girl either.
Yeah, it's like maybe at some
And
point you got to go like, maybe I just have to be.
You don't want to be the girl that has any kind of like, mental problems.
health, but it's.
Or you don't want to be the girl that's has a boyfriend or doesn't have a boyfriend or this or
Yeah.
that, or it's like.
But then with entertainment, you almost have to be. It feels like you have to be like, I'm just gonna go in the box for now and let you call me that,
Yeah.
and then hope that gets me to where I have control enough to. I'm just realizing this out loud. Like, oh no, maybe I just need to bite the bullet and fucking lean
Well,
into
the
one
thing
of the
is I don't
things.
want to sit and talk about this comedy or the cult stuff, cult comedy constantly. The reason that I want to do this as a comedy special first, as my first comedy
to,
special,
like,
is because I
break
want to
through.
say, look, it's done. I did that. I talked about it. I've shared it, and it's there. It's right there. Go watch that.
Is there a part of you that's like looking forward to like never talking about
Absolutely.
it? You want to go, I did the special, I'm done.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't want to bring this back
Yeah.
up. That makes sense.
Because there's people that are like Joaquin Phoenix. He's he was raised in a cult too.
yeah.
But he
I didn't know that. I just said yeah. like
but
I
their
knew that.
family they talked about it publicly, and he's still doing his little things like he did his little vegan thing at the Golden Globes, and
Yeah.
he does those little things because he's doing it for a smaller amount. But he was raised in a cult, and that's the way he is too.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to be branded as like, that's the girl that's kind of crazy and she has all these sad traumatic stories. And you know how it is when you have the person that is like sad all the time. You don't want to ever call them. You don't want to go watch their dumb comedy talking about their dumb shit.
I don't want to see all your boo-hoo.
I've heard all your problems already and
Yeah, where you're like, I want to be able to just move into silly and like
and
not
where
have it be all about like, oh my God.
so deep. I don't
Yeah.
want it to have to be so deep all the
It's
time.
like, I want to be a clown. Like,
Yeah, I want to get up on the stage and have some fun and do really silly, funny jokes. And, you know, Lisa Sunstedt, who is another great comic
yeah,
here.
she's been on the show before.
Okay, so she's got a really funny joke that she used to do a whole lot where it's just so stupid. It's funny where she just was like, I'm not wearing any panties, and then she pulls up her dress and she has on Spanx underneath. She's like, I'm wearing these, and she just stands there with this funny face, and the way that her Spanx are all like out of place and stuff. It's just it's
So
a
great.
forever laugh with me. Like,
Yes.
and I learned
Just a
so
silly
much.
bit.
I learned so much just from that it had nothing to do with any other trauma. It had nothing to do with anything weird. It had nothing to do with anything, and it made me laugh. And that's the kind of stuff I want to get to.
Yeah.
But I have to earn my way there by saying, here's this, because
You have to get the thing that makes people pay attention so that you then have the audience.
I have
be able
to, everybody has to have a gimmick.
I know.
And if your gimmick is polygamy, it's not your choice.
Yeah.
Or Waffle House, that's not your
Yeah, and
choice,
it's-
but that's what we've got.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat right now of like, I guess I'm just going to lean into those stories.
And Tiffany Haddish, I mean, she didn't want to be a foster kid with a mom that's mentally ill.
Yeah. It's
And-
like, well, no, we didn't actually want it either. And so now I don't want the material, but what can you do?
Yeah. And then you look at some of it, but then there are the other comics that are doing things, and I see them do it, and I feel like you're cheating because you're not talking about the real deep truth. And
Yeah,
making
I
that
know.
funny. What are you doing? Winnie Cummings talking about just dating? What?
Yeah, it's like,
Or
why can't I do that?
Eliza, like we're talking about dating and stuff. Let's talk
she's
about
talking about how crazy girls are. You're like, who hurt you?
Yeah.
Tell me who hurt you.
Yeah.
I want to know. Why are you like that? Why do you need a dog?
Yeah, exactly. So I want, and I'm looking forward to that. Like I already have my jokes set up, and it's going to be a lot about my husband, about having, sex with my husband when we're trying to get the dogs out of the bed, and just silliness.
Just fun, silly,
Because I want to
relatable.
because it's that time in life for me. I've been through so much of the trauma, and I hid that as an identity for so long too. When I was in foster care, people didn't all know unless
Because you don't want people to.
Yeah, and when I first came to LA for years, nobody knew anything until much later. I finally went and did Good Morning America because they found me.
Ugh.
And
Were you trying to not be found?
yeah, I didn't. Well, it was when the prophet died. It was on the news, and then they tracked me down.
90s-ish, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was
it just you? Did they track down a couple other girls?
No, he went to prison in the 90s, but he didn't die until just a few years
Oh,
back,
yeah,
like
yeah,
5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
That's what okay.
because I was a girl that was on the paper that had, I had called social services on and shut the group down. So it was because of me that everything started to unravel and the group fell apart.
Whoa.
Because of me and my big mouth.
You just had to go spouting off.
I just had to
sharing
go
your
talking
thoughts.
and yapping my mouth and,
Oh, man. I have 2 more questions on that note.
Okay.
You said you have a daughter.
Yes.
Were you worried when you first found out you were having a daughter that the things that had been kind of like indoctrinated or like the ideals for women that had been put into you were going to like accidentally put too much pressure on the wrong things for her?
No, I actually thought that I was like a saint of a parent, and I know
You're
I
like,
wasn't. Like I
You're
mean,
like, I know
but
what
yeah, you could ask
bad
her.
looks like.
Yeah,
so
you
I'm
could
not
ask.
that.
You could ask her, and she'd be like, "Fuck you, mom. You are no saint." But, yeah, she's, I mean, she's a good girl.
Yeah, she turned out. Yeah, you're like, and then I'm gonna ask you a question, and I also want to know how many times people ask you this. But have you watched Unbreakable Kimmie Schmidt?
I have, and I think it's funny, and I think that just goes to show that you can make fun of funny things because my gosh, she's like locked in a bunker with these women by this madman.
Did you identify with that at all?
I did. I actually did a little video that said, "Who's the real Kimmie Schmidt?" Me. Hello.
Yeah, I mean,
I am the real Kimmie Schmidt because they put me in the middle of like, okay, here's life. There you go. And that's just what
your
it was
bunker
like.
was just a cul-de-sac nobody else came to.
Yeah, but exactly.
Yeah.
But certain things would happen in life that I'm just like, I have to sit and listen and be quiet just to try to figure it out as I'm going along. Like, people went to the moon. What do you mean? Like,
You're like, what is this a metaphor?
okay, so what do you mean? So Arvin's not the president of the United States? There's a different president? and just like little.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and you just anything, you know.
So a lot of like listening so that you don't.
The basic things from life, and what is a Republican and what is a Democrat. I learned those things so late, you know. And
do you just kind of did you just kind of accept like there's just gonna be shit I don't know, I'm just gonna ask and deal with it, or were you like, let me just not let anyone?
I actually
let me try to blend in.
I actually learned earlier on with even the dancing and stuff that the stupider I acted, the more I got.
Oh yeah, because people just, and also like as an attractive woman, it's a card you can play.
It was a card that I would play, and it worked to my advantage because I was traumatized, and I used what I knew how to use, and that was the seduction. Yeah. And so, I mean, I would have, you know, relationships and at first it was like just with, you know, I went from having crazy relationships. I mean, I would date the most insane people and think it was normal. I mean, I dated Mike Tyson. You know, I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
Christ.
hey, I know. Can you imagine what the cult would have thought of that?
I mean, they would have looked down upon that.
If I can go from one extreme to the next, that's me. You know, like, hey, let's try this out. That looks like fun.
Let's just do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like it's the exact opposite of Arvin.
Exactly, it was, and it's just me, like, you know, trying everything wrong until now. I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I'm starting to get things more right.
Yeah.
But
That's
then I'm starting to
freeing.
get so comfortable that I'm like, I don't want to leave the house and do anything now. Why does it, you know, because like.
You know what, though? It's like part of me, because I'll get like that too. And it's like, oh, I used to be so social. But then part of me is like.
And ambitious.
Yeah. But you know what? It's like, if you spend so much time feeling traumatized and alone and we're kind of like just like didn't feel safe for so long. Yeah, I get why when you finally feel secure, you'd be like, I'm just going to stay here.
You can feel really lonely even in a room full of people.
Yeah.
And I can actually feel more lonely in a room full of people than I can when I'm at home safe with my dogs or, you know, my intent or project that I'm working on.
Yeah, without having to worry about their energy
Right.
or what these other people are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, so true.
But I do feel like that there definitely were some positives coming out of the bad things. And the other thing that I learned earlier on, because you know, those things happened to me in the group, that it wasn't like I wasn't like thrown down and raped and beat up. It was like a horrible thing. Okay, it was a horrible thing, but it wasn't like
that wasn't the situation.
Right.
It was like
it was horrible in other ways, but I was not like, you know, bruised and hospitalized type of thing.
It wasn't physically violent.
No, not at all. And this old man had like he had a 1-inch penis, and that's probably why he did what he did. It's like it was just a horrible thing.
Ugh.
In every single way, but it wasn't one that I was like, it's not something I couldn't get over, and I knew that right away.
Yeah, they're like, I will
it gave me
this.
enough of like that dangerous kind of like a tweak in my mind that I've kept myself out of situations just by instinct so many times that I've had friends around me that have died. I've had friends around me that have overdosed. I've had friends around me that have killed themselves.
Yeah.
Like, and this is all just like
So sorry.
one person away, and there's been situations where I've just manipulated my way out because I could
instinctively
feel,
you just like something's not right.
because I've always been so on it, like watching to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So when everybody else is having a good time about what's going on, my other part is like, look, where's the door? Who's here? Who's saying what? Who's getting contentious?
Hypervigilant.
Yeah. And then I could also tell with anger when it would get to a certain point, even just with my parents, when you know the dangers in the room.
Yeah.
When everybody else is like, oh, they're just screwing around, or somebody's making loud noises, it's like I would.
And you're like, no, this is bad.
And I've left, and I've saved my life over and over again that way.
That's a skill that you've got. Like,
absolutely, and I could walk outside right now and you know, something happened, but for up to this point, I really feel like that's kept me safe, even through the dancing, and the lifestyle that I lived was really not one, you know, of safety and
sure. Dancing
and,
is,
you know,
very dangerous.
being a, you know, strung out drug addict dancer, as you know, traveling around, you know, in some of the like the biggest strip clubs in America, you know, and you know, for those of you who live in other countries or whatever, like there's some strip clubs here that are like very high-end gentlemen's clubs, like in Vegas, that are just like multi-million-dollar clubs. The stages are just like, you know, and you get this facade and this feeling that you're a star when you're not. So I had
Yeah.
like this false like feeling too.
False,
Like from the time I was a kid in the lingerie shows, I thought I'm a star for this person because if they like my show, they're going to come and join us and we're going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And then when I'm older, I'm like, great, they're going to like this. And we're going to go to our VIP.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to get more money. Which
Exactly.
will get me into heaven.
Yeah. And then I have to take that skill and all that's what I'd had and put it in my pocket and put it away and take that confidence that I had with that and say, okay, now how can I do this just with talking?
Yeah. How do
and
I maneuver
jokes
this?
and just using,
Use what you've got.
use
That's
what I've
they
got
say.
without using what I've got.
But not all of what I got. Use
Yeah.
the other things I got
Use the other part of what I've got.
from having what I got.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then there's this other thing too. Like it's weird. Like I said this at an open mic once, and I think it was just because I was surrounded by comedians. But I was like, what is it about being traumatized that makes us want to be famous?
I mean, truly.
And
And
then
it's like, now will you love
only
me?
comedians got it. They were like, wait, what? Because it's like a whole bunch of people that just want to. It's not just even having famous. They want to make big audiences laugh with them and have fun and
Yeah, they want,
connect
like-
on a bigger level.
They want to feel a pile of love coming
Yes.
back. That's what it feels like. It's
Yes.
like the
a giant hug from an audience
did a
all
good
loving
job.
you.
Yeah.
And where you can walk off a stage and you can like hold your heart and feel like whatever higher power there is, if there's a God,
the universe.
if there
whatever you
is such
call
a
it.
thing as God outside of the cult, then I want to feel it. And so that's why I'm going after the things that I am.
No, that like zen feeling when you really connect on a set and it's just like
Yeah. So if
I'm
you want to
never more
connect with
present.
me, go to amber.dawn, DAWN.lee at Instagram or wherever else.
yes. No, that's great. And is there anything else you want to plug or any thoughts or?
Oh, I have so many projects that I'm working on, and they're, all of them are at various stages of development. I think that I'm at the stage now too where I'm like starting to attach different people to different projects because I've gone as far as I can go with certain things.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. And then again, the main thing I'm focused on is this cult comedy special. I
Yes.
hope that you've read it.
I
and-
read, yeah, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited for it. Do you have a timeline, or are you just seeing when it feels right, or an
I
ideal, like hopefully?
had an
recording?
ideal of about 6 to 7 months, and that's just after seeing Angelina's.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
if you put in the work that what she took and then made into her special, it was like
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Yeah.
And
So-
watching how she worked was very helpful for me too.
Yeah, and me too. And then seeing that she didn't beat herself up over like being exactly perfect, and which made it perfect.
Yeah, you just go out, like you end up. I have the material. I go out have fun. If I miss a joke, I miss a joke.
If I miss a joke, then you go back and you say it the next time around.
yeah, because you're recording.
And then if you miss it the next time, they're like, okay, stop, say this joke, and they say it, and it's there. It's fine.
yeah, because that's how. Like,
And I put so much pressure on them too. Like, okay, I've got to have like this and I've got to have that. And then I get into those, what are other people going to think? Are they going to think I've been in comedy long enough? Or are they going to think I'm throwing my trauma onto them?
it's also just like,
and-
I hate that. It's like you gotta
Yeah.
forget about. At some point, when you know, like you're creating something and it just feels right and it's what you're meant to be creating.
You have to remember it's for that one person
Yeah.
that needs to hear it. That one person that could be on their way out. You never know.
Yeah.
And they needed
Put
to
your
hear that one
blinders
little
on.
thing.
Don't worry about what other people in your profession are gonna say or.
And
think.
haters are also fans. If they have the time to comment on anything that you're doing,
They're coming to see it.
they're a fan.
Oh, especially people who are recurring. You're like
They're
"Well, at
back
this
again to
point, you're
complain more.
following me."
Yeah. Yeah. You know me well enough now.
Yeah, you just
keep
mentioned
coming
an
back.
old bit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm very excited for it. Thank you for letting
Thank
me
you.
pick your brain on the thing that you're probably so fucking tired of.
Well, I'm not tired of it right now. Right now, I'm in that state of like, let's get excited about it. Let's
'Cause you're
laugh
doing all the
about it.
writing about it. and-
Yeah, let's laugh our asses off about it and let's make fun of it. And then we can all just, hug each other and heal from it. Let me get a Netflix special and then go on to the next thing, which will have to do with, sillier things. A lighter
Take
side.
my husband.
Yeah, a lighter side of things.
Amazing. Well, everyone go follow Amber Dawn Lee at amber.dawn.lee.
Yeah, or just if you just go into Google and look up Amber Dawn Lee
Yeah.
Instagram and whatever, I'll come up.
Find her, follow her. All the follows help, by the way. Don't get lazy unfollowing people because the industry looks at that shit.
They do, and it's like
It's annoying.
there's nothing worse than a YouTuber to make you feel bad with all their followers.
They're like, "Bleh," and you're like, why? Who is watching this?
I know. Stop. Yes.
Anyway, thank you for doing this with
Well,
me.
thank you so much for having me. This is a great podcast. Thank you guys for listening. And she's just as peppy and fun in person as she is up on the stage. So keep watching her.
Bye. Well, there you go. Amber, Dawn Lee, and Arvin and their whole Mormon polygamist disaster nightmare. Heavy stuff. Feel free to join the Facebook group. Ignorance is #blessed. Idiots, excuse me. Ignorance is blessed idiots. To start a conversation about this, if you want to talk more. Did you think stuff was crazy? What are your thoughts? Like, is your mind blown? Can you relate to something? Are you like, I didn't think this was real? Whatever. Get over there, start a conversation, meet some other idiots. If you like the podcast, subscribe, rate, review it on iTunes. Share the podcast with your friends because everyone's a little bit ignorant sometimes. Make sure you go over and give Amber a follow and stuff. And big thank you to John, Jean, Greg, Kathy, and Terry, the exclusive members of the League of Extraordinary Idiots on Patreon. You guys help keep all these episodes flowing. And I am grateful for your patronship, but more importantly, the friendship we have developed via the internet and all of its weirdness. If you want to join the League of Extraordinary Idiots and get cool postcards from me on the road, other cool stuff, VIP, free tickets to shows, etc., and more content, check out patreon.com/ignoranceisblessed. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, I guess, @Blessed Podcast. I really should post there more. It's very inactive, but the Instagram is good. Ignorance is Blessed Podcast. No, Ignorance is Blessed. On Instagram, you can see faces to all the people I interview. So that's kind of a cool place to put a face to the voice you're hearing in your head. The one on the podcast. The rest of them I can't help you with, but good luck. And if you have any additional questions for any guest, for Amber, Dawn, or another topic you would like to hear covered, or someone specific to interview that would be good for a certain topic, feel free to send them my way. You can tweet them at me. You can send them to me on my Facebook fan page. The easiest way to do it is request it in the Facebook fan group. So, Facebook podcast group. My God, I can't chug coffee fast enough. Denver snow is making me a zombie. Go to the Facebook group and be like, oh, could you interview someone who does this? And it's just more likely that I'll see it at a timelier manner because I don't always see all my tweets and etc. And I'll always do my best to deliver as much as I can and keep asking questions because the more we ask, the more we learn. And the more we know. And the more we know, the more we can look down on others who aren't as smart as we are. And isn't that the point? Thank you for listening, and thank you for being patient with my ignorance. See you soon, idiots.